wanted to come on and do a little update video after reading this book, No More Boring Bible Study by Faith Womack. And I wanted to say I really enjoyed reading the book. Just kind of give you a little bit more information about it. I don't want to tell you too much because I want you to read the book yourself, obviously, too. I did do an initial review video of this, so I will post that in the description as well in case you want to check that out. So I won't go over what the book's about and everything as much as I did before. Just kind of give you some little points that I liked about it. So I felt like this book would be really good for a new Christian who's just getting into reading the Bible, or maybe someone who is trying to read the Bible but really struggling to understand and apply what they're reading. Like maybe you're reading the Bible from cover to cover for the first time and you're like, what am I supposed to be getting out of this? How do I understand this better? I think this book would be perfect for that, to read alongside of your Bible reading and just get a better understanding. Although I've read the Bible several times now and I try to read the Bible daily, and I felt like this was not too easy for me, if that makes sense. It wasn't like, oh, I already knew all of that and I don't need to read this book because I've already been reading the Bible. I didn't feel that way, so I think it would be a good book for any Christian, really. But I specifically think it would really be good for someone who's struggling to get through reading the Bible, for someone who has been reading the Bible and maybe not understanding as well or trying to figure out what they should be getting out of it, or a brand new Christian. So this book kind of goes through, let me see if I can bring some points up here. So at first it goes through Faith's testimony, which I thought was really powerful. And then it talks about if the Bible is true or not. It talks about reliability and how translations are a spectrum, which I think is really important to understand too. Let me find the chart here. So she has a little chart in here of translations and whether they are formal equivalents, which means they're more word for word, whether they are dynamic equivalents, more thought for thought translations. So it just kind of goes through all of that and, where the Bible translations fall on that spectrum and what you can expect there. So that's good too if you're trying to figure out what translation you want to read and which one will meet your needs for studying, for reading as you are going through the Bible. She talks about not missing the forest for the trees. And at the end of every chapter, you're also going to see Bible nerd notes. And a lot of times there's a recap, investigate, reflect, compare. So a lot of times it gives you something to do within your own Bible, which I thought was really neat. So you kind of apply what you've learned in the chapter to your own Bible study and to your own Bible. So I like that a lot. That was a really good touch as well. She has a lot of little personal stories in here at the beginning of every chapter, which makes it really relatable too. I should have marked my book, where I wanted to show you. She also goes through, the overview, the storyline of the Bible, she calls it. So the story starts with creation, and then the fall, the ruin of creation, and the cost of the fall met in redemption, the final restoration. So I think that's so important. It seems so simple, but if you understand those 4 parts, it really makes the Bible a lot easier to understand, and for you to understand the purpose of the Bible as one whole story of God's redemption. So again, it seems like it's super basic, but it's so important to be able to understand that, to be able to understand your Bible and where the different books of the Bible are falling into. The big picture talks about the genres in the Bible, and how the Bible's not just a history textbook, but it goes through the different genres in the Bible, like historical narrative, which is the Old Testament and Acts. And let's see what else we have in this chapter. I'm really doing this off the seat of my pants here, obviously. I should have marked my book up a little bit. But then a lot of times she'll show examples of her notes too and how she marked in her Bible. So that's super helpful if you want to take notes in your Bible. Not that you're going to sit and copy her notes, but just to kind of give you an idea of, what did she write? How might it look if I'm really struggling to figure out where to start or what to do in certain books of the Bible. Talks about the law, the 3 types of law in the Bible. it just goes through the different parts of the Bible, talking about the epistles here, prophecy, apocalyptic literature, yes, I can speak, like Revelation, basically, and how that's different from some of the other prophetic books. Talks about the Gospels as theology. Again, there's a lot of like little charts in here too and visuals to help you understand, which is super helpful for me, so I'm sure that'll help someone else as well. Then it talks about how like the Psalms are not, in other poetic books, not just a poem, just kind of breaks that down for you. This is breaking down the Psalms here and like who wrote them, what kind of psalm they are. Sorry, that was really crooked. There you go. This is such an official, formal video today, isn't it? Not just a wise old sayings, it talks about wisdom literature. So, of course, you know, talking about Proverbs, etc., Ecclesiastes, Job, Song of Solomon. And again, you're going to get those Bible nerd notes at the end of every chapter. So just to give you an example of that, read Ecclesiastes 3:16 and compare it to the constant call throughout the book of Job for God's justice. Does Ecclesiastes really mean to tell us that there is never righteous justice? Now read Psalm 89:14. This verse tells us that God is always just. Job professes that truth even through unfair trials, and Ecclesiastes shows us there's no justice without God. So that's the investigate. I won't read all of that, obviously. There's a ton here, but that's just an example. Again, another example of how she takes notes in her Bible. This chapter is about problems in modern interpretation and application. So just some things to be aware of as you're trying to apply the Bible to your life, how to dig deeper into the Word. So like different study tools and commentaries you can use. Just gives you a little bit of more information about that in case you're wondering where to go next. There's some free Bible study tools that she talks about. And she talks about context in the Bible, which is super important. So like she talks about, for example, Philippians 4:13 and how, you know, a lot of us use that as like our life verse and how we can do anything through Christ who gives us strength, which isn't totally wrong, I guess, but it's not exactly what that verse was meaning in the time that Paul wrote it. So she talks a little bit more about that. So that's pretty much a main overview of the different parts of this book. Like I said, I will post my initial review video, which is a little more formal, where I go through like, you know, reading what from the back what the book's all about and the different chapter names, etc. But I just wanted to come back and tell you I did really enjoy this book. I don't always get to come back and do an overview of books that I've read just because I read so many. So that would be all my videos if I did that. But I did really want to do this one, an overview of this one, and tell you that I did enjoy it just because this author, Faith Womack, I've really enjoyed her other content, her YouTube channel and online videos and studies and some other different things that I've done through her. So I did want to come back and say that I did really enjoy this book, and my impression is it's a good review if you are someone who does read and study the Bible frequently. It's really good for someone who is just reading the Bible maybe for the first time, or you've been trying to read it but are struggling a little bit, or a new Christian. So that would be my recommendations for this book. So go ahead and check it out. No More Boring Bible Study by Faith Womack.